proudest day, and the proudest time, and the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally podcast, and you're very welcome along to the 2025 season. And Connor, you know, this season is trundling on and we're getting into it. Like, we're nearly a quarter of the way into the season, and it's been really great so far. And you know, the figures we have watching the show has been brilliant. We're delighted with that. So please continue to like, share, rate, subscribe, all those things we keep telling you to make a difference, and they really are.
Yeah, and we're getting some lovely feedback as well, and some great suggestions of potential interviewees. So keep it coming, and you know, like we're genuinely appreciate the feedback. So thank you very much.
That's for sure. And then this year we're going to review is the Tour of the Sperrins, the latest round of the Northern Ireland Championship, and then the first round of the European Rally Championship, which with a very strong contingent over from this island then as well, over there competing as well, the Rally Sierra Morena, is that right? Yeah,
that's it, that's the
one. But I suppose we'll start off with the Tour of the Sperrins. Fantastic weather, you know, Marfelton District Motor Club, probably, you know, up there and one of the best clubs in the country, put on a fantastic event, Connor.
Look, they always do. Tour of Sperrins has been a fantastic event for a long-running event now for a long time, and 3 cracking stages, really good stages, covering some old Circuit of Ireland stages and Ulster Rally stages there as well, or parts of, and it was just great to see, and they got a beautiful day for it. Yeah,
a beautiful day, and an absolutely top-class entry, and fantastic action on the stages, it really was.
Yeah, it was, and it was competitive, and you know, a really strong result for Garry Jennings.
Garry back into the winning circle, and Rory Kennedy. How many wins is that? Rory has, like, it's well over 60, you know. So, and like, you know, I catch up with Garry and Rory, and you know, we in the course of the conversation, we discovered now they've been together now for 20 years. Like, that's a strong partnership.
It really is, and it's one that's maybe gone, and well, personally I would say maybe a bit unnoticed, you know. Like to hear a figure like that, you kind of go, wow, it doesn't seem it, but yeah, like I suppose when you start thinking back, you know, there's a lot of rallies under the belts there from both of them.
That's for sure. So first of all, we'll hear from them, and then we'll hear then from the two-wheel drive winners as well. You know, first time winning, you know, the two-wheel drive is Gareth Irwin and Justin McAuley. You know, they've been knocking at the door. There's been, you know, a few, you know, strong results. But, you know, great to see them finally getting the two-wheel drive one as well.
That's been brilliant. It's been building there. It really has been building. So, yeah, look, their time has come. And, again, another solid result in a competitive class.
That's for sure, yeah. So, I think, no point us waffling on much longer here. Let's hear from Garry and Rory, first of all. And then that will lead in then to Justin and Gareth.
Yes. It's a great rally up there. You know, as I say, it's run by people for people up there. They're very friendly and very accommodating. And yeah, some great stages up around that end of the country.
Yeah, because you know, the weather was spectacular. But you know what the event that the club had put on, you know, a late start, an early finish, and like really no time between the stages. You rolled off one stage into the next. It was a really competitor friendly event.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I started going to work on Saturday morning, slip up the road for driver's briefing after 9 o'clock, and yeah, first stage 10 or out of service 10 o'clock, and as you said, the 3 stages running each other, so no downtime, into service with an hour service, back out, and 3 good competitive stages, and home for 6 o'clock. Yeah, I think it's maybe something we can look at, because you can run more hours because the fact they're only running 6 stages, so that was good as well, you know. So yeah, they're definitely the full entry, an oversubscribed entry, which is very good.
Yeah, because Rory, like, that was the thing. The club making a big push on, you know, they were only allowed to run 100 cars, but they had so many entries. They went back to the governing body who allowed them to run another. I think they ended up starting 112 then to finish up.
Well, that's very welcome development, Kevin. It was great to see that. The rallies, you know, will obviously have oversubscribed, so the popularity of the event is very, very good. No, in fairness to our Felton District Motor Club and Bridget Averill and what do you call him, Crawford Henderson and so on, they put on an excellent event, put a lot of work into it, and Garry just said, like, it's organised by competitors for competitors, and that's for us. It's a very welcome thing. And also, Keelan, and as you know, we talked about this before many times in the past. One of the good things with this rally is almost virtually no chicanes on the rally whatsoever. So it's a very good driving event. You know, there's no interruption of the flow on the stage with an artificial chicane or anything. So that's a very welcome development on the rally in Ireland, and you know, maybe all the rallies should take note of that.
Yeah, because it wasn't as if they were using, you know, old bad Nigeri roads. They were really good quality roads as well, and you know, from both sides of the car, from the co-driver and the driver, there was plenty there to keep you busy.
Plenty to keep you busy. I can assure you, I was very busy and there was plenty going on, but the roads were good quality stages and you know, good medium width road in a lot of cases. Third stage, Slave Gillian, which is a very familiar stage for lots of rally people, over the mountain into Draperstown there, is a very, very excellent stage, and we've used it many times, even in Circuit Ireland, Ulster rallies and so in the past. So it's great that they use the like of that, and Garry can attest to the quality of it, like in the terms, you know, there's jumps and there's dips and crests and tight corners. Like, it really is a very good challenge.
Yeah, Garry, you know, as Rory just said, like, Gillian is probably, you know, up there rated as one of the best stages in the country, and to be able to drive one of those cars in, you know, perfect conditions there on Saturday must have been just a pure joy.
Yeah, it was, and it's like, you don't think much about them when you're making your notes for them, you know, but yeah, it's an ironic stage when you get up on it and go around the hairpin and head down the fast forward side of the mountain, heading for Draperstown. It's very good. It's one of them stages like Nogala or Glen, you can just sit back and watch it called Komaki, and as Rory said, the jumps and the bumps, it's incredible the way these modern cars take them bumps and jumps now. I seen a picture there come up of, I think, Charlie Donnelly and the Corolla going over that road testing 10 years ago, and you can see with the Corolla, she's landing her nose where it's not even a bump to them new modern cars now, like they just sail over it. Mm-hmm. That's just technology. That's 10 years or 15 years down the road, the way technology's moved on.
Yeah, because, like, you know, you have come through that whole era, you know, the ultimate world cars, you know, the 2-litre cars, and now into these latest spec R5 cars, and like, not taking nothing away from the 12B, it was a phenomenal car in its day, probably, you know, the ultimate tarmac car for so many years. But just the way that, even just in the last 2 or 3 years, these Rally 2 cars are just immense. The you know, the way they can get the power down, the way they take corners, the way they break up as well.
Yeah, I think I overheard a conversation. I think Andrew Nesbitt, yourself, we were chatting about world cars. They will not be on the pace of these new R2 cars now. Not a chance. Maybe the older R5 car at the very start, but not the way it's moved on now. I'd say the brakes, especially in that new car, and the suspension travel, it's unbelievable. Like, you know, I was explaining to the person the 12B is a 5-speed, and some of that narrow stuff you'd be going very well to be in 4th gear. Where these yokes are screaming ahead of themselves in 5th gear. Like, it's just completely different. The speed they can carry over the bumps, and there's bumps we put in our notes at the weekend. Rory, you'll agree that we didn't even feel in the car. You know, we had bad bumps, and the first time through, we might have thought about braking. The second time, the bad bumps weren't there, like, but they would be there in the 12B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could bomb on through it, and you know, the cars, as Garry says, the cars are developed that far, that suspension, the way the car works, and the driver can commit the car through the likes of that now. It's not as very good. The cars are unreal, and it's a great development, you know, and far safer now as well, dare I say, which is obviously something that's to be welcomed as well.
That's for sure. Yeah, and I think Saturday, and like we've seen this, you know, all over, you know, even last year and into this year, like the top 4 cars this year in the Tour of the Sperrins, 4 different makes of cars, and like nothing separating them. It just shows you that, you know, tight regulations, tight rallying, and it's all we need. Like, you know, a spectator standing out watching that, just phenomenal, and it must be the same in the car.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Kevin. The top 10 cars only separate from a handful of seconds, some of them stages. Yeah. Like, even seen Young Devine was going very well in that older shaped car until I think he'd had gasket problem. He's right up there as well, you know. Yeah. They're also evenly matched now. But as you say, all the manufacturers, you know, the basics is all the same. It's just getting the cars to work to the best of their ability. But, you know, I do think it's great this evenly matched, but our problem on Saturday was we got that bit of a lead, and it's it's easier to lose that lead than to get any more time. So it was just a matter of balancing. But if you can come off one of them stages, driving at 9/10, and you can only be separated by half a second, the top 3 or 4 cars, that's how tight it is. But I think if you get an advantage in these cars now, it's harder to manage it than give it away. You just have to watch what's happening. But
and even with all your years' experience, was there still a lot of nerves even going into the last stage? Do you start to hear wee bangs and rattles in the car that's maybe not there any other time?
Not really now, Kevin. I'm just enjoying it. As I said, you can play golf on a Saturday, but it's not my thing. I've tried everything, Kevin. I have tried, believe me, everything to get out of this rallying, but it doesn't work. You can go fly helicopters, you can go fly planes, do whatever you want. You cannot get the adrenaline rush whenever you're counted down into one of them stages. It's your happy space. Yeah. And for them 6 or 7 minutes, you think about nothing else, only what's down that road in front of you. And it's so strange to explain to somebody, because usually when you're in work, you're thinking about what lorries are doing this, what oil men's doing this, what's in the pub tonight, who's working, who's chefing. But for that 6 or 7 minutes, Kevin, all you're doing is thinking about what's down that road, and it's just you can't describe that feeling. It's just I never took a drug in my life, but I hear them saying people's addicted to drugs. But see, I think it's really right. You're just addicted. Once you get that buzz, there's no getting away from it.
Worse than drugs, eh?
Yeah, because this man here, Rory Kennedy, you've been on this rallying drug now for, well, not even say how many years, but it's a hard one to shake off.
Oh, it's a hard one to shake, Kevin. I'm absolutely, if there's ever an addict, I guess I'm not one rally addict. There is, I'm afraid, and I don't seem to be getting any wiser either, but no, it's incredible sport, hey, and let's face it, the Tour of the Sperrins is a club rally for clubmen. It's a 42 odd mile rally, 65 kilometres or what, but it's a very good quality event, and it's these events are available and are very accessible for entry level rallying, if you know what I mean. But we're experienced competitors, and we can go there. We can really enjoy it, and we can. Hey, I'm going to tell you, we're not going easy. We're going as hard as we can to stay in front of the boys. So that's the beauty of rally sport. It's such an exhilarating sport, and when you get nice stages like that, to be able to drivers can express themselves, show what kind of drivers they are, and so on. It's just unbelievable sport. Incredible.
Because somebody PJ McDermott Jr. there at the weekend, that was his first road rally. And to compete on the same roads as, us guys that have competed in hundreds of rallies across the globe. What other sport are you going to get that? There's nowhere else you can do it.
There's nowhere really you can get. There's no other sport I know if you can do that at entry level, and if you drive with the top drivers or whatever, compete with the top drivers and so on. And rally sport's unique like that, and it's we all had to start somewhere. Garry, I'll tell you about his first day starting out in the usual, way back in the early days, and you never dream of where you're going to end up. But it's so addictive, and I know young boys who are playing football and stuff, and then they get into rallying at that J1000 level. And once they get into rallying, it doesn't seem to matter about anything else. Rallying is suddenly the greatest sport in the world. So a lot of fathers are scratching their head, wondering how they're going to fund these young boys. This is the thing of the rallying, but no, great sport and very enjoyable to do. And of course, it's great when it goes well. When it goes bad and it's not so good, I can assure you.
But Garry, whenever you started out all those years ago in the 106, Bertie and Mark Fisher was there to give you a wee hand and a guide and light. And I'm sure you are giving back to young guys now that's starting up. And rallying is so accessible. Car 101 can come up and say to you, Garry, I'm not sure about something. What would you suggest? And everybody's willing to help everybody.
Yes, Kevin, but it's took a full circle. Whenever I started rallying, to be fair, Kevin, there's only a handful of us young boys started rallying. But it's the other way around now. There's only a handful of us boys now. There's all the younger ones coming on. Yeah. You were saying about young ones, Mick O'Brien there from England, from London, Mick O'Brien Planter, his son done his first road rally at the weekend, which was Tour of the Sperrins. Yeah. And he was second in his class. So fair play for that man. To come from England, to come over here, to do his first ever road rally, and to finish second in his class is that's what it's about. It's bringing these boys over. Mm-hmm. But there's that many young ones now. It's hard to speak to them all. But to go to that, it's any man that even finished a rally on Saturday. It's a great experience. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. There was no threat of rain. Bolt on a set of slick tires and go So that's what it was about. That's back to old time rallying. That's it.
Yeah, tell them about the time when you were over in England, the 106, and Mick O'Brien helped you when you were starting out.
That's right. That's the whole thing happens. I was out in that Peugeot Works Drive in one of them forestries down in England somewhere. Ashbourne it was. But they made chicanes back then of trees. So they put trees down on the road and you had to go through them. They were to stop you cutting the chicanes.
Yes.
But I come in a wee Peugeot in the middle of a forest somewhere, hit the chicane, and I hold the radiator. So on the road section, I come across a wee shop. So I went in and I says, "Woman, have you any eggs?" She only had friggin' 6 eggs. Like, that's all you had in the shop. So I had 6 eggs, and all you had was two 2-litre bottles of water. It's me and Garry Rory heading to the start of the stage. But sure, the 6 eggs, no good. And I seen this Jeep coming down the forest track, and the dust behind her, you think the man was in the middle of the stage. And this man pulled up, and he gave me, I'll never forget, 2 24-packs of eggs. And 2 big 5-litre jugs of big 5-litre things of water. And he says, "Here, I seen you in the shop in the local village. I knew you were in a problem." He says, "Maybe that'll help you." It wasn't that night. It was Mick O'Brien. Plant hire then that started me out all them years ago. And that was in 2002. So think about his son now coming to Ireland to do his first road rally. We're way back then. We were going to England.
Yes.
And like that friendship forever has been there. Mick O'Brien. I didn't say who he was. He didn't say who he was. It was after the rally when I finished and done very well that he more to speak to me and found out who the Mick O'Brien was. So he saved my phone as mad Mick O'Brien. So I don't know.
But it shows you the quality of rallying here. That, you know, people are sending their young guys over here to get the experience and all as well too. For as you said, you had to make the journey across.
Yes, the whole thing is completely on a complete circle. You know, I was looking at some of the class times there yesterday when I was at work. Like some of them classes only separated by a handful of seconds. But they're all going very, very hard. And like, I think a lot of people have to recognise now 4-class wins because they're so tight. You know, years ago, when you might have 2 or 3 people in the class, you might have 2 people in the class. Now you haven't. You've 10, you've 15 people in all these classes. Like they're highly, highly competitive.
Yeah. Because it's not just about the, you know, just guys at the top of the field. You know, right throughout, you know, you've seen the 2-wheel drive. You know, it was only like 10 seconds separating the last 3 get into the last stage. Like, that's phenomenal rallying as well too.
Well, for sure. You consider, I think, didn't David Bogie go out in the very last stage?
The last 2 quarters from the end or something.
Which is very disappointing. But I mean, he's a very good supporter as well of the Tour of the Sperrins, as he is of Irish Rally and Donegal and so on as well. And I think Gareth Irwin come through to win then. Yeah. And Gareth had a brilliant run, like, and very healthy car too that he has. But, you know, right down all the classes, even though we're competing in our own class, if you like. Essentially, we're in our own class as well. But right down the field, all them battles are happening, you know. But, like, it's even if we won the rally, hey, the boy who wins his class or second, third, everybody has their own target. And by doing that, they achieve their target, if you know what I mean. Yeah. You know, obviously, if you can get on and progress in the sport, there's other opportunities maybe. But rallying, you know, if you think about rallying in Ireland, it was never in a better place. Like, you know, when you consider the Rally Academy, the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy, and then the Motorsport Ireland Junior Championships, the J1000s, like, it's unreal. Like, you go to this rally next weekend in Cork, the next round of the Forestry Championship, I think there's almost 30 J1000 entries in that as well. You know, that as a percentage, I'm sure, is at least 25% of the total entry. It could even be 30%, you know. So it just goes to show how healthy and what's coming through. And there's lots of very good young drivers on the way through. We will fill all them classes in time to come. And I think that's fantastic development and just goes to show how healthy a place the sport is in. Like.
Yeah, because Rory, myself and yourself were at the Donegal Motor Club Awards a few weeks ago. And like, the way those young guys get up and spoke, you know, it was just takes your breath away, the confidence they have, the desire they have, you know, like Oisin Kelly was asking them, you know, what was their ambition. Each and every one of them, I want to be competing in the World Championship, you know. And the least of their dreams was to win the Donegal Rally. And
that's right, we're all wanting to go all the way. But you see, the thing about it is, unlike when Garry started out, or even other drivers down through the years started out, there was never a pathway as such, you know. It was up to you to make your own way. And like Garry was in the Peugeot, what was the guy? The 106 Cup, wasn't it? 106 Cup, and I remember there was the Seat Super 6 as well in the past, you know. But besides that, there wasn't very many opportunities, or more importantly, a structured pathway, you know, that if you were any good, that you could get, you know, support, and the support would not only give you driver support, but all the other aspects that you need to be a complete driver. Like, that's all there now, you know. So the it's great to see that. And there's so many of them young fellas that are, dedicated and doing everything they can now to progress in the sport. So I think it's, as I said, very, very healthy place for rallying at the moment.
Yeah, because again, Gary, Ireland's leading the way. This wee island that we have is the envy of the world.
100%. If you look at the years here at the weekend, you've probably competing at the top end and then the top end of every class. John Armstrong's right up there. Philip Allen's right up there. And then you've all them fellas in the academy. They're all there. They're all there in their class. Like, it's in a good space. Like, you take Josh, driving the World Championship for Ford, and these boys come behind it. It's looking very, very good for the future. And it's very healthy. And that's down to the academy and John Coyne. You can't say enough about them, what they're doing. Like, they're I just wish they were at it 20 years ago. Like, we had our men as well helped us, but they only helped us in a certain way. But John Coyne and them boys are pushing over now down to the very, very top. Yeah. They're not chatting about national champions or European champions. You're chatting about World Championship stuff now. I'd say we will have an Irish World Champion. We will have an Irish World Champion.
Without a doubt, because as I said to Rory there, those young guys, and that was just the Donegal guys, they had no doubt that they'll all be in the World Championship in a few years' time. And to be at that at 15 or 16 years age, you probably hadn't even sat the rally car at that stage.
That's right. It was in my 20s last sitting rally here. At that age,
good job.
I was making sure I was doing my homework at night and all. I was going to school and college.
And then going back, I suppose, to the Tour of the Sperrins, up around that whole area, it's become it's getting almost as bonkers now as Donegal. Josh came over and made the effort to do the event. Desi had his dramas in Kerry the previous weekend, but he was going to be there. They've got Go behind it, your own sponsor behind that event, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. It's now become a must-win event in the calendar.
Yes, no doubt. Sure, it's filled up in no time. And that's due to the organisers, the quality of the stages, and the way the rallies run. And to be fair, there's nobody complaining. There's no residents, objecting to the rally. They just want it to flow. And I think too, not that the stages are isolated, without a doubt, but they have the tight, twisty stuff on stage 1 and 2, and then 3's up over the big fast mountain. So they've a ring in the rally. There's no better way we could set up a new car than Tour of the Sperrins, because you had the fast, bumpy stuff, the slow, bumpy stuff, and then the big, fast stuff over the mountain. So it has everything. And it's due to the organisers and the people that live on the stages, the residents, and everybody's just so happy to see you there. And that's that Draperstown country for you. The rally men that build the rally cars are off there in the country.
That's right.
And they have a popular with rally cars up there.
When you think about it, really, that very part Gary chats about Draperstown and around there, you had the Donnellys and the McCormicks and Camillus Bradley and Lockrins and so on, Barry Dan, all them boys all come from that part of the world. It's really, really good rally country. Very similar, Kevin, to Donegal, as you mentioned there.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, and Gary, the new car, it's an upgrade from the previous car. I suppose M Sporter, there's always wee things that have been developing, pushing. Is there much of a difference to drive it, or what is the difference really? I suppose.
Well, Kevin, I hadn't driven a rally car in 10 months from Donegal last year until Wednesday. Sport sent an engineer over because the car hadn't been running. So we just done some mapping on the airfield in Enniskillen, and we spent 4 hours just doing engine maps and throttle maps. And it did come on a lot. It did come a lot along in that 4 hours, but we went down to do a wee test on the road then, and we didn't get much of a test done. It was too heavy populated when we got there. But look, Kevin, everything technology is a great thing. It's I don't know, it's just everything's so new and it just works. The upgrades definitely feels more power. The brakes is unbelievable. Just everything, the whole package, the dampers, everything just feels very, very good. But Kevin, I think no matter what car you get new, it will work. The technology's there, but we weren't very happy when we went for the first spin up the road. We were not happy once a bit, but we went back to our old setting that we had in the old car, and it just worked again. It's a couple of clicks here, a couple of clicks there makes a wide difference in these cars now. A bit of ride height stuff, and once you get into work and get the right direction, then it's just finalising down to the last wee bit.
Yeah, and not been in the car then for 10 months to come away from the one. Did you expect to be at the sharp end of the battle, or what was the thoughts going into the event?
No, we had a good test we went to with engineer, and I knew the car has it. But I thought if I could stay with Desi and Josh in the first three, I would have had a go at them in the second loop. But we built up the advantage in the first loop. Josh ran into trouble and Desi spun. So it was all about managing the lead then out of service. But I would like maybe to get the kid drive it maybe 10 tenths, but there was no need to at the weekend. But it just feels good. The whole package feels good. The Pirelli tyres work. The car just worked very well. I mean, Rory just a relaxing. Nothing went wrong. We made no mistakes. One maybe slight overshoot, but there was nothing there that stood out that we could have maybe done better. It just seemed to work. And I think the experience of making the pace notes as well. We haven't more out in 10 months, but once we got the first lot of kilometres over, the notes and everything just felt very, very good.
Yeah. And Rory, then from your point of view, the fact you've been together now for 20 years, like, is it like a very simple fit then each time you step into the car, because you almost probably can finish each other's sentences now at this stage?
It's one way of putting it, but I would probably say, Kim, the first time I sat on with Garry, believing up was the Circuit Ireland in 2005, Garry, if I'm right, and it all came about very quickly. There was nothing happening for me. In fact, I thought my career was over. Actually, I was finished, and Ivan Fisher rang me one day and says, would you be interested in going with Garry in the Circuit Ireland? And I says, who's Garry? That's how it all came about. But anyway, I would have to say we did the circuit that year in an Evo 5. It was back in 2005. And we won Group M on the rally and finished maybe 6th or 7th overall. And from the very beginning, on that rally, right the way through, it just worked. It clicked perfectly. And it still does to this very day. There's days that things don't go according to plan, as you well know. But by and large, and more often than not, when it comes together, it works really well. And mostly that's the case. So I have to say, we've had a lot of success, I think, during them years. Aidan Caddy posted that we've won 11 rallies together during that time, and we've won a few championships too, and we've been top 3s of big rallies there down through the years, and we've had some very good scores, and I'm very proud of that. Like Garry brought me back to do the Donegal Rally, which we won together in 2015, and won my father's trophy, which obviously is an unreal experience for me, and without Garry that would never happen. So I'm eternally grateful for that.
Yeah, because Garry, those 20 years, 11 ones outright, but there's been Group N ones there. There's been Group N championships and adventures along the way too. Sometimes there's more adventures in the rallies you maybe didn't win as well too.
Without a doubt, Kevin, class wins, Group N wins, championships, and I think with everybody, we've won a lot of rallies with other people as well. But Rory's the main man. If somebody wins a rally with me, because Rory can't go, or he's double booked,
Mm-hmm.
But no, I remember the first time that Ivan Fisher said, "I'm navigator for you for the Circuit of Ireland." I was going, "Who is it?" And he says, "Rory Kent." I was going, "What?" But James O'Brien had sat with me before that, and Gordon, and then it was like, "Jesus, are you sure?" Rory, right? I remember 2005 on our first recce, we were doing a stage outside Balik, and we wrote the notes. And Ian Howard, the team manager at the time, says, "You have to get up here, they want you to scrutiny." So we'd done the stage in Blake, we'd done it once, we only read it. So we hadn't a chance to check notes, do nothing. We headed back up till scrutiny in the airfield and Enniskillen. And then if I'm right, we went to that stage in Blake, and we were not only fast as Group M, we were like 3rd or 4th fast overall, and we only read the notes, we hadn't checked them.
I didn't check those right now.
That's the time there when you will hear, if anything's going to work, this is going to work.
That's right. Well, there was plenty of times Kim were on her lid, and there was plenty of handlings as well. I remember one day we went to a rally. Garry went to that forest rally in Donegal one year in that Nissan, and we worked all night. And Kieran Graffin was involved as well. We got her to the start line anyway. Started in Donegal town. The first stage was up the Pettigo Road there, the forest on the left. Takes you over into Loch Derg. We clocked in. And he gave her a bit of a burning up to get up the start line, and she broke excuse my language, she broke a drive shaft.
That's right.
I never even made the start line.
That's right. Walking down the forest, what is this, Aubrey? Walking with your helmet in your hand.
I think Kieran Graffin got the Lord's Prayer as well. There was some prayer handlings. along the way. But anyway, we've had tremendous success and we've had tremendous safe rallies as well now. But a few crashes along the way as well. But like thankfully we both come out of them unscathed. So no, it's good. It's great out cracking with plenty of handlings along the way, but sure, that's the way of it. Like.
Yeah. You had a full head of hair 20 years ago.
That's right. But rare, but black. There you go.
But Garry, this weekend past is whetted appetite, and you're going to go again this weekend.
Aye, that's Rory's fault. I think it's actually my daughter's fault. I don't know what happened. Where this I don't know where this came out. Like it was Saturday. It was all right. We'll see you in the Circuit of Ireland. And I know somebody says the Manx is on this weekend. I'm going, what? Manx is on. And then Rory says it's full, and I said, sure, see what you can do. Then that was Sunday. Sunday he says I'm an entry, and then I texted him this morning 9:30. Any word? I hadn't texted him 5 seconds. He was on the phone. Don't forget, but we'll get organised anyway. So, yeah. We got word at lunchtime, then we're allowed to go. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been Isle of Man since the Peugeot days, but yeah, I am actually looking forward for a change.
Yeah. And Rory, an island that's a very special place in your heart.
Absolutely, Kevin. Some tremendous successes and plenty of heartbreak there as well. But way back to tough neck years, and with Bertie, we tried to win that rally so many times together, and we raced even Colin McRae, and we raced Patrick Snares and all sorts of people there, Mark Love and so on down through the years. But we could never crack it, and we could never Bertie could never win it. It always slipped away or something happened, despite huge effort that went into it. But anyway, I persevered anyway, and ended up with Mark Higgins and myself won it in 2008. And I must say it was one of them moments in my rally career that I'll never forget, because obviously of all the effort and time and we had put on with Bertie back in the tough neck days, and it was a very poignant moment anyway. But anyway, we've won the Manx International, we've won the Manx National twice with Bertie, both in the BM and in the Legacy. And I went back and won the Poker Stars Rally with our newbie from Tech Sport in the Subaru as well, back in, can't remember what date that was. Mm-hmm. So always nice to go back to the Manx. John Bonnerme did the Poker Star Rally there a few years ago, and we had a good run. We finished 11th, we had a good outrun, but a bit of difficulty towards the end. But it's good to go back now with Garry in this car, and as I understand, it's going to be a very good week in terms of weather, so there's nowhere better or nowhere faster to be than Isle of Man when the weather's good and the tarmac is really, really grippy. So, it's a big rally, there's a big recce, and we're going to have to get the best out of the notes in order to be competitive. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, but still have a good feeling. Having coming off a win last weekend gives you good confidence going forward.
Yeah. And Garry, from your point of view, going over there, blank sheet of paper, you have no notes or nothing really to fall back on, but you still get that same buzz out of that there. It's you enjoy that challenge.
I haven't used John Bonner's notes, Rory. You better have it right there. I look at the plug. I use Bonner's notes. No, why I use anybody's notes. But I think Rory, I'm right in saying it is a big recce. It's 11 different stages here in 10 today, yeah. So it will be a big recce now. But no, we'll have to get there first. I think we've left it that late now. We've left it that late. It's getting there's going to be the problem.
So if anybody's out there listening,
but no, we'll get it. I think we spoke to Mike of the Lop today, so he's on the case. I think we're not stuck because they've got us 2 jet skis from Kilkeel. So we've got the car, we've got the rally car and the van on the boat, I think, on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. But we just can't get over, but we have to be over on Wednesday evening, so well, we'll see what happens. If you see us see 2 jet skis heading by the man and backpacks and 2 full face Panther helmets, that's us heading by the man.
If you hear of 2 jet skis sank off Isle of Man, you'll know.
Gareth, you've been nothing at the door now on the 2-wheel drives. There's been a few thirds, a couple of seconds, and to finally do it, nice feeling on Saturday.
It was something we weren't expecting, to be fair. Like you're saying, we were always second, third, fourth, fifth and there stages but normally we start off a bit slow every rally. We always say it it'd be a week drive at the end of the first stage, then you would probably win them all. But
It's getting that confidence to go hard straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, hey, it was a surprise at the weekend. Now, to be fair, but hey, it was a nice feeling as well too. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Because you had to be sharp right from the get go on Saturday, because it's only 6 stages. You can't really afford to.
No, you get left behind.
Yeah.
If you mess about, you get left behind, and the grip that wasn't there, like, for how dry and how good a day it was. Like, the first stage was diabolical, to be honest. Like, the dust, I think it was mostly a dust, and we had a hard tire in the back, so it never came on the 3/4 through the stage. But no, we came out the first stage of third, then just on behind corner, but only a second or a point of a second, I think. So we weren't as slow taking off in the first stage as we normally were, to be fair. We were fit to keep it through the day then.
Yeah, and like Justin, this was no soft one. Like, you were up against top opposition. If you're fighting with Damien Toner and David Bogie, you're in a good race.
100%, and like even our overall position as well. Like, we were well inside the top 10 as well. So that's a big step up. But like, if you look through our EWRC results, there's been stages there where you can see that it's coming. And we would. Well, I would do a lot of looking at the EWRC results after the rallies and stuff to see, where you're at and stuff like that there.
And like, as you say, it's all been progress, because you're not rallying that long altogether, really. Like, Gareth, you started in 2013, but the escort started off as like a twin cam and then into an escort 2017, 2018. 1600,
something like
and
that,
then just built yourself up.
And then you have COVID and stuff there as well. We didn't get out there, really. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
No, they are. The escort is just a different gravy now to the Corolla. Yeah. But that was only a standard Corolla back then. I think we only were on that for 1 year and then I got rid of it,
Right, okay.
I went back on the 2-liter escort then. It must have been, was it 18 or 19 now? 17? No, I got married in 18, so it was after that. It was the end of 18.
Yeah.
That's when I'm married.
Good job, you got that right, anyway.
You didn't watch us out rallying, crack.
But even class 13, like, to be competitive there, you have to be you bring your A game as well too. Every class is exactly the same. No matter Northern Ireland Championship, Tarmac Championship, National Championship, rallying has got so competitive now. There is no soft classes.
No, like, even before you come out of the 2-liter car and the 2.5, that class 13 was stand clear as well. Like, there's so many fast boys out there. Like, the pace is it's unbelievable there in times, and you just need to be really pushing all the time from the word go to try and get the finish it, or try and get the front of them.
And like, Justin, had you ever co-driven before you sat in with Gareth?
Never. Actually, the first rally that we did, we went out to the first stage and we hadn't even the right intercom with us. So that's how much experience we had.
Help intercom.
So that was a baptism of fire, and Gareth, he decided he was going to do the driving and the co-driving. So you can imagine how that went.
Yeah. But like, you've had to develop your skills in a very short space of time to get to that level as well.
Well, I don't know about skills, but it sort of comes, like, we sort of grew together, and we started off at the start, and we had a lesser powered car and stuff. So as we got quicker, the skills just come along with it. You know what I mean? It's not like you were just set in with like a Damien Toner for the first time or something, because you couldn't. No disrespect. Like, it's hard. It's hard to do it. Like.
Yeah, because it's hard enough to sit in a rally car and then to have your head down reading notes. It takes a certain aptitude to do that as well.
Nah, and a bit of madness.
But do you still get a great buzz out of it yet?
Oh, I do, surely. Like, it's like, as we're friends and stuff, so like, it's not the rallying's one part of it, but coming up to the rally and then doing the recce and stuff, and even after the rally sometimes, especially after Donegal, I can go on a few extra days and it should, but no, listen, you kind of need that as well when you're co-driving with somebody. Like, he has to trust me and I have to trust him, so there's a big trust element in it as well.
Yeah. And like, Gareth, we talked about coming up through the various classes and all. like even coming from a 2 litre car into the 2.5, you're in the 2.5 round about the year now. Did you notice a big difference then when you stepped up to class 14?
Well, like I said before, the 2 litre, you get the thing to move. There's still 300 brake 2 litres. They're no dozer or thing like, but your driving style, I thought you'd nearly have to wring its neck all the time to get to keep the power on the 2 litre. But like if you try that in the 2.5, they try to kill you. You know what I mean? But you have to sort of manage the power more on it. But well, that was at the start. Now you're just probably trying to wring its neck everywhere it's going, just like a 2 litre as well. But coming up, like I said before, coming up from the 2 litre to the 2.5, I just think that everything in front of you comes a lot faster. The bends and bumps and jumps, like whether you're on about Justin on the notes, if you get a wrong note or something like that, and the 2 litre, you have sort of more time to sort of rectify it. But when the 2.5, like everything's just coming at you straight away, like it's coming a lot more faster than.
You had to throw down there about a wrong note, didn't you?
I was going to get there before you were going to get me.
100%. There's like a sniper in the grass. Just sitting. I'll throw this in here now. See if he notices.
Just throw a wee grenade in.
100%.
That was the biggest thing for me in the 2.5. It's just the stuff comes at you a lot quicker, a lot quicker.
And it obviously did take a wee bit of time to adapt, we've seen it. But again, you done it the right way, you drove for your head, not your heart, and got to the end of stage, or got to the end of rallies and building up the mileage.
Hey, look, you can't expect to just jump on it, matching the likes of them fat modified men, because you'd only just lay the thing about trying to force it. It's better to just, hey, look, if you're not finishing rallies, you're never going to win a rally. So you need to start finishing them and then building that, then build your speed and top it. And then
that seems like a speech I gave you one day on the way home.
I think it might start to sink in after you finish 400 times. We need to finish this rally. We need to finish it tonight before I heard you. we nearly never got to the end of the Sperrins now. We nearly all enough piece. But hey, look, that's the thing.
And as Justin said there, there's a lot of trust in that car as well too. He's telling you what to do. Like you've told him that in the recce, so you have to have trust in your own reading of the road, but you also have to trust his delivery of it at the right time.
Well, hey, look, you only drive so fast if you haven't got notes. Like your time is in your notes at the end of the day. That's where the time is. Like if you haven't got them, you haven't got that.
Yeah.
Thank God this is recorded.
You can play this back to him in the loop now.
I'll look over his found the notes upside down someday. Right, left him. You never told him the time you left him the roof going to one rally and we had to go back and pick him up beside the road.
I think I need a beer for this podcast.
This is associate Justin time,
the times and the notes at the end of the day. And if you haven't got them right, your recce is a big part of it too. Like you need a good recce.
Yeah.
They have the good notes so you can trust them when you're going to do like that. Because some of them, like where a lot of people will be 1 fastest, we're 6 fastest. So a lot of the 4s and 5s, when you're coming up to them, they look like 2s or 3s. Because you can't see around them, so you really have to trust them, like Justin saying, like to get the time on the stage.
And the fact that you've shown that you're not just close, you're not just fast close to home, that you can travel as well. It shows that obviously the way the notes has been building, that they're really working for you now as well too.
No, you're right enough, man. Yeah, it will be.
Over the past maybe 4 or 5 rallies, we've started to put more work into the notes. About making our own changes to suit ourselves, and even for the way like you're reading the notes, and like, even what Gareth was saying there about sometimes we'd have been coming up and it looked like a 5. It was a 5, and it looked like a 3. And it could be off-putting for him. So we've sort of changed it now, where it's given it a bit of confidence, where it is a 5, obviously, and that's where, like, if you're backing off on them 5s, you're losing big time to the top person.
You have some wee trigger that you're, basically reassuring them that yes, this is a 5. I don't drive it as you see it. Drive it as I'm calling it to you.
Yeah, 100%. You need that in some of them, because even some of the crests too, they're blind as well.
Yeah,
you can't see over the top of them. Like if you break going up their crest, and maybe a 6, which will be quite open, or somebody else just goes over flat out, they're gaining seconds, like naturally.
And you do that 5 or 6 times in the stage.
Yeah, 20 seconds gone.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the way rallying's going, if you lose 10 seconds on the stage, it's almost impossible to get it back. Never mind, So
there. Was it what was the last one? Longford, was it just
Longford? Eh?
We went out the wrong tires on the first stage for the first loop of 3, and then by the time we get back on the service, we were 20 seconds down, and everybody else on that class.
But the seating didn't help there either.
The seating was great the night of fair. Also, Brian Morris was well back fair.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
But then when you're 20 seconds down, and not on that modified class with that piss, like you're never getting that back on the rest of the day, like.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. We actually finished 7th in the class, and something like that. You're never getting 10 seconds off the modified man on the stage, like.
Yeah. And then to go back then to the Tour of the Sperrins, I was chatting to Gary Jennings and Rory Kennedy and so many other competitors at the weekend there, and they're all saying, this club, they're organised an event. It's run by competitors for competitors. It's so friendly, so accessible, so user friendly for you guys as well.
Well, it was way close to home. It was very handy. At least then, like you're not away from home from no great times. I've tried to do the single day events, especially like the international events. Sure, you're away from a Wednesday and you're not back on Monday. It's a big commitment. It's a big commitment to do that. But the Tour of Sperrins is only 40 minutes away from my house. Like you're up when you're done the rally and you're back.
And even the recce, the stages, just the way you kind of rolled off one. It was no bit up the road to you and into the next one, then into the next one. No hanging about.
It was ran perfectly. See the way they've done that at that see them rallies. It's great to do it like that because the car and the hands is not really cooled down as much, so you're enough ready to go again when you get to the stage. And they weren't no big tailbacks at the start of the stages. We were actually struggled on one of the stages to get our hands and helmets and all on because it was already started. We were nearly ready to go and we weren't ready, like. But that's the way I think it all should be, like. Just get them in and get them going and get it done.
And then Justin, from your side of the event, the paperwork and all, they just seemed to be on top of everything, didn't they?
We were very, very late entry. We only got the latest that could get in, and they couldn't do enough for you. Everything was sorted out. Just we weren't even in the sign-on office like 2 minutes, and we'd only got confirmation on Thursday afternoon that we were getting going.
Because that was originally only allowed 100 entries, but because they had a sizable reserve, they went back to MSUK and got a waiver. I don't know exactly the right word for it, but allowed to run. Was it 112, 113 at the finish?
112 cars, but like it shows that everybody that we were talking to about the rally too, the weather obviously played a big part in it because if it had been raining, I wouldn't like to have been on some of them stages because. As like Yara said, the first stage, we were badly caught out in the first stage by how slippy it actually was because it was bone dry, but it was the gravel that was on the road.
Yes.
Yeah, it was dusty. The dust was well slippy.
And then, the stages, there was a bit of a mix in them too because stage 1 and 2 were kind of a wee bit twisty, a bit technical, and then that third stage is, it's probably up there with one of the best stages in the country.
100%. 100%. We've done that third stage before on the Sperrins. I can't remember what year, but it was only like a quarter of it. The start was different, and then the rest was all the same. So
we actually had some run on that stage in the 2-litre car. I think we were 6th or 7th overall on that stage.
Because that stage just has everything, hasn't it? It is so committed, and it really rewards the brave.
The last time we were a wee bit too brave. I think. We lost a quarter panel on a back box as far as I know. We were coming down around the same bend. They said to me, "You nearly done the same thing again, and you done the 2-litre." I don't mind that, but
you wouldn't mind that, but you mind something I did?
I know, it was a good stage.
I remember a wrong note quicker, wouldn't they?
100%. He'd remember that for the rest of his life.
Well, that third stage was actually the favourite one for me out of them all. I wasn't really dying about the first one, but probably just because of how loose it was and how much grip it wasn't there on the first stage, but it's probably because of the new tyres we put on and we went straight on the hards and first thing in the morning, which you probably would have benefited more now when you look back on it for a set of medium, but
because
probably would overcook in the last stage in.
That big stage, I would say. It was a lovely morning, but it was still quite cold as well too, so.
I was going up from here, I left here at 8 o'clock to go up for driver's briefing. It was only 7 degrees then.
Yes.
But the day before when we were doing the recce, around 11 o'clock at the time we were planning to be starting, it was like 13 or 14 the day before, so that's where I gambled and said I'll go on the hards, but I think it wasn't the right choice for the first stage, but the next two then after.
Come to you then.
Especially for that big one over the mountain on the third, the hards was needed then. Good grip then.
Yeah. And then, but as Justin said earlier then too, like the fact that you come off the first stage and you were well in the hunt as well too, and probably didn't feel particularly good coming off it, that had to give you good confidence then to push on then from there.
I thought we had a good second run, and then
here we go again.
That was shite. You haven't even seen the time yet. How do you know? I didn't feel good. I go, just leave it. He's find the time, and then hey, look, we were only 3 seconds down on bogey. Wasn't that shite then? Was it? you keep your comments to yourself until you do the time.
And there was many times you looked over at me and I went, "Hey, I don't know what you're smiling about." I'll get you out of this car. I'll tell you exactly what's going on.
But we do often hear about drivers saying like it's a bit of banter. That whenever the clock's ticking, yes, it's very serious. It's very but it's that wee bit of banter. You need that bit of downtime because you are wound up like a clock when you're on the stage, and you need a release after that because you couldn't go around like that for the whole day.
No, if we could drive as fast as much crack that we have on between the recce and whatever else is going on, we would win everything. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is. But no, like it is, it can be tense on there going through them stages at times.
But like even when you're chatting to the boys in between the stages too, like David Bogie and Damien Toner and stuff there, and like the crack before the stage and the banter before the stage, it makes the weekend as well as everything else.
Yeah. Because those guys know what they have done to extract the time out of the stage that they have done, and if you've beat them by a second or they've beat you by a second, they have so much respect for what you've done on that stage as well.
100%, and like when the rally's over and stuff, we're all friends, and like if you needed a partner, you needed anything in service, or like they'd be the first to help you out. It's not to say they'd let you go out without whatever you needed. Like it is some community too at the same time.
That's for sure. Because I think was it Frank Kelly said it, I think it was at the end of West Cork, the top 3 there was bits of each other's cars and each other's
That's right.
Like where else would you get that? Like,
where else would you get it? Other people would let them go out. Can you imagine if that was Formula 1? They'd try and steal bits of people's cars, never mind put bits on them.
That's what Cal said to me when I went back on the service. Well, it was only service then, it must have been obviously the first one. And he said, mind the brake test we took off your car yesterday. I went, that's right. He's all, was Alice or what do you call him? Cochrane. He said, he's away with it. I went, well, we needed it. And I was planning to throw in the bin anyway. I was seeing it, but if he was stuck for it, give it to him.
Yeah.
So it is pretty tight, like, to be fair.
And then, I suppose, like you mentioned Cathal Brown there, like, he's given us a fantastic car, right through, like, the 16 up into the 2 litre and then into the 2.5. Like, you talk about confidence in the car, you need confidence in the car you're getting into, and Cathal provides that for you.
Look, it wouldn't send you out. It wouldn't send you out when a car, he wouldn't happy with himself, And even after that car, was it? The grey car, when that was built, there are compressions you go up Cathal's hull, and the wee 2 litre car would never move. Well, would never ever move. When you hit the compression, it just went straight on. And the first time you went up it on the 2.5, you hit the compression on the bottom of the road, and she just went all out of shape. Like, and I come back to him and I said, look, there's just something not right in the back of it, because in the 2 litre car I can take that there flat and it doesn't even move. And I said, look, I wasn't even going hard because I was only testing it. I said it won't stay a piece at the back. I'm not pressing in high, and I took it down, go back, and we give it an hour run, then it was perfect. Then you need to know what it's going to do when it on the, especially for that furthest parent, because there's so many humps and jumps. Like you need to know what it's going to do when you get under it hard and coming back off it again, or even landing from a jump. If you haven't got confidence that it's going to do what you think it's going to do, then you're not going to go under it at the pace you're going under it.
Aye, because even for you to tell him what you want and him to understand that it's not everybody that can read your mind basically and put into action.
Yeah, there's another person out there could understand what Gareth wants. Cal Brown might be able to build rally cars, but he's not a magician.
Well, to be fair to him, even the recce, I would ask you after you're done the recce, what's the stage is like? And you're going, well, hey, look, no, they're smooth, right? We're harder a bit, or no, it's bumpy, it's jumpy, right? We'll soften a bit, so she'll take it, like, you know what I mean? Put you off the road.
Yeah. And not only then, Cathal, but you need a strong network behind you, your families and all that. They have to give a lot of commitment for this too, to let you go and have your fun at the weekends as well too.
Oh, we change it off days there. Maybe like I have a couple of wee ones and then 2 teenagers, so time away from the hurling practice, and then the other one's running on her feet, and then she sees you going out the door with the bag around your shoulder, go. I'll for a day or 2 here. I'll be back in a while.
Yes,
you probably get hit by something on the way out the door. No, but she knows that that was always been cars, even for my own business. Like it's always been cars and motorbikes and anything that I was never really a mad into football. So anything we had. And that was normally not far behind it now, to be fair. So I had a laugh at him. The mother-in-law said there one time, she said, "So you knew what he was like when you were growing up? What did you think he was going to change?" I'll give you that fiver of your honour for doing that.
And Justin, same question to yourself. You need a strong network behind you, work and home and everything.
100%. Like the budget work, looking after the place in your way, and then like kids, young kids as well, and it's tough whenever when you come on back and maybe you didn't have a good result. It's great when you come back with a good result and they're asking you, where's your trophy and where's this and where's that, but if you're coming back because something went wrong and maybe the head down a wee bit, you have to pick yourself up a wee bit again then.
You have to put your best foot forward and put the happy face on.
Yeah. You have the happy face leaving anyway, but sometimes it's not the happy face when you come back.
And then Gareth is supposed to start wrapping things up. Like, the one in the Tour of Sperrins, that Northern Ireland Championship, it's going from strength to strength. Like, that was a superb event. Like, Maiden City's run one be close to home for you, and then Calvin's coming up, and then obviously the big one in June. Have you any plans for the next few, the next few weeks now, I suppose, at this stage?
Well, we were just chatting to Kevin about the engine. Like, as I say, we did build it in May this time last year, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to get it out and get it down to Kevin and get it freshened up now, because we have, I think it's like 6 weeks until that one in Derry and the Kevin's on at the same time. So we're looking to maybe see if we can organise doing both that weekend and then leave it to Donegal. But we're only 3 weeks after that to Donegal, so if the engine needs checked over, now's the time. So I've told Cahill to get it out and get it down to Kevin to get it check over and refresh, because between if you do Kevin and you do the Derry stages and then you do Donegal, that's 5 days rallying.
Yeah.
So we're going to just get the donkey in there now and get it checked over and then get her probably get the gear, but just get everything checked now, because Donegal is a mammoth. Like it's like we went out in the 17 stage last year. Justin, was it?
Year before,
Year before, 17 stage. She broke a drive.
Yeah.
Coming off a line, and us maybe second on the class material again. So that'll be getting a well overdue over.
That was one of them sad days I was on about.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm coming home.
He just left her at the start line and just rung my man and said, "Take me back to the Glenbar, I'll watch the second lap." No, but so Kel will check engine, get Kel to get the box and all out of it, get the thing checked, back axle, and just get her start getting her prepared now for that weekend. The Cavan and Derry will probably be a test now for Donegal now.
Mm-hmm.
Probably get a couple more done after, but Donegal is a big one every year.
I think Justin, we're only in the start of April, but already all eyes is turning to Donegal in June.
Well, it seems like somebody hit the fast forward button, because you get these few weeks over now, and it's not that long that Derry Rally or Cavan, and then it'll be no time to Donegal. But even as we sort of had a habit of sort of slackening off after Donegal, so maybe this year we might even try and get another couple of, because Sligo's coming up this year after Donegal, and a few other bits and pieces, but you have to see what happens in Donegal too. 3 days is hard in a car, and it's hard in two drivers too, or driver and navigator, you should even say. Sometimes I feel like I'm driving as well.
Too long out of the seat. You have to. It's like you're starting all over again. You're taking trust in your notes again, and you're breaking corners, or you're breaking points, and you're cornering speed, and your grip and all. It's like even what we said there when we were going to traveling down to Longford. Like it was 6 months between the harvest, and normally I would do a turkey run, but I gave it a miss this year. So it was a harvest, the start of March. So it was 6 months. Like a lot in there again. Trusting the notes, and then trusting the car you're in as well too, all over again. Like you think 6 months is not a long time, but you nearly have to be out every month on it, to keep everything fresh, and every 6 weeks at a maximum, to keep the whole thing fresh in your head, and the trusting the notes and the trusting the car you're in too.
So thanks to the guys there, and again, well done to everybody involved in the Marfalton District Motor Club top event. And Conor, also last weekend with the first round of the European Rally Championship.
Yeah, got underway in Spain in the Rally Sierra Morena event, and a really strong cohort of competitors from this island taking part. Like, it really was incredible. And then it was an event that was also used by Neville and Evans to get a bit extra tarmac practice in before their WRC round in Spain. But the rally had everything: really fast, smooth stages, tight technical stuff, and a mixed weather conditions as well, Kevin.
Yeah, it just seemed to have it all, and great for our crews over there to put in some very strong times and some very strong results as well.
Yeah, there really was. Now, some super times, a few technical issues there, for some of the crews as well, but some really, really good competitive times. And I suppose it's all about looking how they're getting on against the competitors, particularly in that junior ERC. That's
for sure. And, we got a chance to catch up with some of those crews now as well.
Yeah, we got a chance to chat with Craig Rahill and Keelan Grogan. Keelan, Craig, just back from the first round of the junior ERC Rally Sierra Morena. Keelan, how was it for you? Was it what you expected?
Definitely, yeah. Probably that and even more. It was a crazy week. Long week, obviously. With the test and recce, and then into 3 days of rallying, really, with shakedown and the Friday stage. But no, it was a really enjoyable week. Probably didn't just go the way we really wanted, but the pace I don't think was too bad for most of it. So we can definitely take some positives for that, I think, going forward. But yeah, overall, a really fun weekend.
And Craig, you came away with a fantastic fourth place in the junior ERC. Like, that's a really solid start to the season.
Yeah, definitely. If somebody had told me Thursday night that we'd be top 5 on Sunday evening, I would have laughed. Our goal going into the event was just to find a steady pace, and we were kind of aiming maybe for a top 10, but we had didn't really expect to be anywhere that we were. So yeah, look, we done Rally Lallana the week before, as in a test for it, as in preparation. So we won the class there, or the Rally 4 category there, so that kind of gave us a good confidence boost going into the Rally Sierra Morena. And yeah, look, as Keelan said, it was a long week and very mentally tough and demanding, and yeah, it's really rewarding to make it to the end of it and to get a good result, and it's a good few points on the board now to start off the season.
And Keelan, Craig was just mentioned, part of his prep was he actually did compete in Spain, on an event beforehand, but you didn't have the opportunity to do. Did you find that made it a bit harder to acclimatise and get yourself prepped for the event?
To be honest, not really. I don't think, because on Saturday morning we kind of seemed to actually be able to get into the pace quick enough. You know, we set a few good times Saturday morning, which was, to be honest, a bit surprising. But we still had put in a lot of work before it. Like, obviously we done West Cork, which was a great opportunity to learn the tyres, which was, you know, one of the biggest differences, I suppose, for the year. But no, all in all, it wasn't. See, we had the test as well on the Wednesday, which was really good, and a good opportunity to learn the roads and learn writing notes even on the roads. So that in itself even put us in a pretty good position heading into it. So yeah, not too bad, to be fair.
And you had a wee technical issue on Friday night, Saturday morning that kind of nearly
just
reeled things for a bit.
Just a sensor given a bit of an issue on Friday night, and the guys in service had to change it on Saturday morning, which was only like a 15-minute service, so it just took a bit longer than that. But they still done quite well to get it changed in the time they did. But unfortunately, we still picked up a few penalties for leaving late. So I suppose any chance of a top result was gone at that stage, which was obviously very disappointing so early in the rally. But we still just kind of got on with things, I suppose, and put it out of our heads. And you know, we still had 2 long days of rallying to go at that stage, so we got on with it and turned out not too bad. In terms of the pace we were able to do.
And Craig, fairly trouble-free event for yourself, but what is the pace like at that level on the ERC?
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. Like, I'd say, like, even Keelan, Johan, like, we all stepped up our pace from the Irish and UK pace, and we're nearly there, but we're not there yet. It just shows that, you know, these boys out here are on a different level altogether. And yeah, look at it. It's a positive when you go looking at the times, and you know, we're within that second a kilometre the whole time. You know, we weren't really expecting that. So, and then I think the closest we got was 0.1 of a second kilometre off the top pace. So, you know, we're nearly there. For our first event, it's very positive, and you know, we still have a lot to learn. And as Keelan was saying, the pace notes out there, it's completely different. It's all to do with your pace notes and having your right lines picked and all in the pace notes to really push to them and commit to them. And I think that's where you get all the time out, and then them wide roads and that to just really use all the road that's there. But yeah, as you say, it's trouble-free event for us, and that's all down thanks to the whole team behind us, the relay team, and they kept the car 100%, and there was never any issues with it all weekend. And yeah, thanks to them. And yeah.
And Keelan, you know, that the pace out there, and Craig was mentioned in the notes and that, like, where do you think you could or you will find that extra pace or that extra time? You know, where like, is it the big cuts the other guys are doing, or is it, as Craig mentioned, is it about the notes, or is it a combination of all of that?
Probably a combination, to be honest. Yeah, it's hard to know in places. Some stages, you know, the gaps to the leaders weren't that big, but then there was other stages where there was quite a big difference in our times and theirs. So, yeah, maybe it depends on the nature of the stage as well, you know, because they differed a little bit in places. Some with big cuts, and others with just smooth tarmac. You know, barrier on one side, rock face on the other. So, yeah, it's probably a combination of things. Some of them guys are, you know, that's their second season in the junior ERC, so they're more, you know, adept to that kind of pace, I suppose. But I suppose we got our first taste of it last year, same as Craig and Ceredigion, and I think there has been an improvement since then. So if there's a bigger improvement like that again, you know, we might just get closer and closer. So hopefully over the year we will anyways.
Yeah, and like Craig, I suppose the thing I noticed too, like, you know, the 2 rallies you've done on the hand-cooked, the new tyres to yourselves have been dry. You know, typical Ireland, nice sunny dry weather, and you go to Spain and it was wet. Was that the first time trying the wet tyres?
Well, no, in Midlands we got a chance to try out the wet, but I suppose, yeah, on shakedown in Sierra Morena, the heavens absolutely opened, and it is, I've never seen as much rain in my life. And we had the wet tire on for that stage, and yeah, look, it was positive enough. Now we only done the 2 runs of shakedown because we kind of saw that the weather forecast was promising sunshine the whole weekend, so we didn't want to do something silly in the wet, and we're not going to gain anything from it. So, but yeah, the T53, the medium Hankook, it works really well on them grippy sections. You can just really lean on it and trust it, and a really good tire. Like, it's compared to the Pirelli or Michelin, it's right up there. I don't see any difference in it. Like, it's very, very good tire.
Because Keelan, I heard you talking to, was it Kelly and Randy in West Cork, and yes, you had trouble on the Friday night, but then on the Saturday and Sunday you were using it as like a prolonged test session, and you were loving the Hankook tires. You felt they were really working for you down there.
Yeah, really good. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything bad about them, to be honest. So far, and even if I think back to the weekend there in Spain, some of these cuts were pretty big and very dirty and never got a puncture. Didn't even really hear of many punctures from other juniors, to be honest. So it was a bit different in Spain as well. We only had 12 allowed to use in the rally, so there was a bit of tire management and saving going on, which was a bit different. But that being said, they held up quite well over the weekend, and it was quite abrasive in places, and the temperatures were a bit high as well. So they still held up in pretty good condition, I have to say. Yeah.
And you said about having the 12 tyres to use over the weekend. Is that something that the MI Academy helped you with as well? The how to sort of to work that out, or is that something you just had to learn on the hop?
Yeah, no, we've always been doing tyre plans, whether it's for Midland stages or Rally Sierra Morena. You have to do your tyre plan to have some idea of what you're heading into, because it really matters on a rally like the ERC. You can't go over your allotted tires, so you have to stick to them, and you have to make them work for the whole weekend. So you have to be thinking about Sunday afternoon on Saturday morning, if you know what I mean. You don't want to be going through all your good tires that quick,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Craig, I suppose then it's one less thing to worry about then when you're actually out on the rally, that you have that already boxed off, that, and you have a plan there already.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we've been, as Keelan says, we're always been drilled into us to do a tyre plan before every rally in preparation, and it really counts out at these events to just as Keelan said, you have to think about the whole weekend, the bigger picture. There's no point going out on the first stage and wrecking the front tyres and then having no tyres left. You need to play it smart, and actually just touching on another thing Keelan said, as he said about the how durable they are, the no punctures and all them big cuts. I'm pretty sure out of my 12 tyres, there's 8 of them with nicks on the inside of the wall from the cuts and everything, and they never bust or anything. And there was actually, we were very, very lucky, came in after the first loop, and the front right tyre, when they took it off, it actually de-rimmed off the outside lip, and it had went into the inner lip, but it still stayed hard. So we were very, very lucky that we didn't get a puncture. And yeah, they're very durable tyre, because you're going into all them cuts and you just be cringing, just hoping, please God, there's nothing in here that's just going to go bang. But yeah, it's the tyre plan is definitely a big thing out at these events, and tyre management. When we were even in Lalana there, we weren't really tyre managing, and we ended up using all the tyres I had on the Friday evening because I was pushing them that hard. So then we kind of had to just keep the pace high, but try and not push them too hard as you reckon tyres. It's just kind of find a happy medium in between.
And Keelan, some very big names on that rally, and including a world champion. Is that a distraction, or can you stay focused and in your zone and just concentrate on your own junior championship?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You'd be looking around service sometimes and seeing all these big names and big setups. Even on the test day on Wednesday, we were starting the stage, and Jos Verstappen was ahead of us starting it, and Mads Osberg was behind us. So that was a bit of a wake up moment, But yeah, no, it's cool to see, and even the likes of Elfyn Evans and Thierry Neuville, we've seen actually quite a bit of them, to be honest, because they weren't starting that far behind the juniors. So when you go into regroups and that kind of thing, you'd see them walking around and doing their bit, which was really cool. But yeah, some big names, and yeah, maybe we'll just have to get used to that now. I don't know.
And Craig, for yourself there, keeping focused on the competitors in the junior championship, but do you start kind of looking at the Rally 2 times thinking, well, I'm not that far away, and starting to compare there? Or is it just purely you're just looking at the junior championship and you're maintaining that?
Yeah, to be totally honest, I never would. Once I go into EWRC, the first thing I go is click over to junior ERC. I don't even look who's winning the rally or anything. I think Sunday evening I might think, I ask Connor, who won the rally, or what's the crack there? Like, I wouldn't be following that end of it at all. I just kind of focused on what we have to do and how far we're off people in similar car to us. But I suppose now, after the event, when you're analysing, you would start looking to see how far per kilometre you are off the top pace, and see, like, it's interesting that on some stages you're not a million miles away. It's mad, like.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned Connor Smith there, your co-driver. Like, did Connor have a lot of extra work to do now at this level compared to competing back at home?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's fair play to him, because there's so much stuff he's going on in his head the whole time at these events. Like, he just has to have everything has to be right out of these events, and yeah, he done a top job, and there was no penalties, no nothing the whole weekend, and didn't get caught out on anything. So it's a top job by him. Yeah.
And Keelan, have you been back? Well, you probably haven't the time yet, but will you be back looking at the DVDs now on the onboards, trying to see where you could have maybe got that extra tenth of a second, or on a corner, or a hairpin, or a junction?
Yeah, I think so. I'll watch them for fun first, I suppose, but then I'll start looking into them in more detail, and maybe looking at the notes as well to see, what was good and what wasn't, because there's obviously a lot to be learned from doing something like that, But yeah, over the next few days, I'm sure we'll have a look at it and see where we could have improved, and where some of those seconds that we were missing were in the stage.
And is that something you and Ayrton do together? Like, would Ayrton get the notebook out and go through the notes again, or is it just purely off what's recorded and you're looking back at what the note was?
Both, yeah. A bit of both, yeah. It's always good to look at the notes, I think, as well, because you're always trying to improve your notes. They're the one thing that are going to make the difference between you being fast or not, and that is probably one of the biggest things you're looking at looking back at on the DVD.
And like,
Craig, sorry, Gavin, go ahead.
Like last year, you were competing, Ireland and the BRC, and like there was tenths of seconds separating you, and you thought you were absolute door handles, and then going over there and then suddenly discovering, your second a kilometre and bringing that back. Can you see now where the extra wee bit is now? Like, is there light at the end of the tunnel? It's not, oh God, how are we ever going to get the better of this?
Yeah, well, I suppose, as you say, like when you're rallying at home and you're trading seconds a kilometre, you kind of think, right, well, that's the pace, and you kind of you're always trying to find that extra little bit. But yeah, when you go out here and you see there's that big jump, it just makes you even study down and analyze everything way more, just to see exactly like where can you find this extra half a second a kilometre. And as Keelan said, I think the main thing it comes down to is pace notes, and out there when it's corner after corner after corner, there's no let off at all. It's all about getting your right lines and having the detail in the notes to push, because like I notice it myself there, even you come around some corners and you're like, damn it, I can take that a lot quicker. Like, so that if you're doing that 4 or 5 times throughout the stage, it doesn't be long adding up to a few seconds at the end of the stage. So yeah, look at there's more time to be found, and yeah, we'll just have to work hard and try and get a bit closer.
Yeah, because Keelan, I suppose it's nearly good that you know that you have lost the time, rather than coming to the end of the stage and thinking that was class, and then discovering you've lost time.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be so sure. I know where it is in some areas now. It's impressive what some of them are able to do, and you have to applaud them for that. But yeah, no, for sure, I think there is areas where I'd have an idea where the pace would be, and same as Craig there, you're coming around some corners and you're kind of wincing a bit, knowing you could have took it a bit harder. Because in some them long stages with that many corners, that sort of thing adds up to seconds, like which is the difference. But yeah, hopefully over the year we'll get just that bit closer and closer every rally, and try and start challenging a bit more at the front.
Because yes, it was tarmac at the weekend, but not as we know it. Like it was nothing like Irish tar. Like it was as smooth as the motorway here, really.
Yeah, for the most part, some places were a bit bumpier and a bit dirtier with the cuts and things, but yeah, you're on a really smooth road sometimes, and you're picking your lines to try and take the corner as flat as possible. Which is hard to write notes on, and then hard to commit to the notes in the rally. But yeah, I would think we got a bit more better at it over the weekend, so there was an improvement.
Yeah, and then Craig mentioned earlier was the cuts. Like it's something that's starting to creep into Irish Rally in a bit, but it's never going to get to that level. Like you talked about half a car, 3/4 of a car in some of the places. Like it is really throw the car in and hope for the best.
Yeah, you have no choice. It's funny because there was some corners I had don't cut on, and when I got to them, there was a big cut there. So it shows, what they're willing to do to find the time. And when there's 50 cars ahead of you starting, cutting that same corner, you have no choice but to go in then after them. So yeah, it's a bit of a lottery, I suppose, in terms of punctures, and maybe even worse than that, damaging the car. But yeah, no, got through them safe enough this weekend anyways.
And then I suppose, the next event, it's going to be a different type of tar, it's going to be a different type of gravel. This is the great thing with the ERC, there's such a variety of surfaces, of events, and they're real adventures, they're all 2-3 day events as well.
Yeah, some people are even telling me that was probably the easiest one of the year. So that's nice to know. I think Hungary will be a bit more challenging. It has a name of being quite rough and tough, so yeah, that will be a lot different. And then into Poland, which is obviously very fast and flowing. So no, looking forward to the gravel next. That should be fun, and will be interesting to see where we are in relation to the front runners on gravel.
Yeah, because Craig, we spoke before, and you're equally as comfortable on gravel as you are on tar. Like that doesn't bother you?
No, yeah, and in preparation for Hungary now, we're doing the Moonraker this weekend now to get our first taste of the Peugeot on gravel. So yeah, look, it's going to be another new learning experience. Hopefully it won't be too different now to the Fiesta, but we'll just have to try and fine tune the Peugeot to work on gravel as well as it did for me in the Fiesta. And yeah, hopefully we won't be a million miles off the pace, but as Keelan was saying, they say Hungary is nearly like Safari, so it's just going to be all about survival and keeping it clean, and could very easily come away with a good result in Hungary if you just keep your nose clean and get into no hassle. So yeah, it's going to be a tough event, but I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, and Craig, you mentioned the fact, change of car for you, and then Keelan, okay, same car you used to 208, but a change of team. It wasn't like you were both in your comfort zones right in Spain either. I don't know, Keelan, how you find, adjusting to a new team to working around you.
Yeah, it was probably a little bit daunting at first going into it, but they were awesome from the test onwards. They done everything they could to make us as comfortable as possible, and in fairness gave us a really good car. Even the issue we had wasn't anything to do with them, and they done as much as they could to get us out on time again on Saturday morning, so I couldn't fault them. And yeah, really great, took a lot of the pressure off, I suppose, and allowed us to focus more on the rally. So yeah, so far so good, and looking forward to going on with them in the year ahead.
And Craig, for you, has there been much of a adjustments you've had to make to your style of driving to go from the Fiesta to the Peugeot?
Yeah, I suppose definitely now out in Spain we kind of did change our driving style a bit. You kind of have to be more aggressive, I think, because you have room to play with out in these roads out here, so you can kind of let the car slide a bit more. So yeah, that was we had to change our driving style a bit, and thanks to Niall McShea. He came out to us in testing in Lalana, pre-Lalana, and he was very good and good drive intuition and to get the car set up right, and just felt really comfortable in the car and letting it slide, and it showed in the time. So yeah, it's had to train his driving style, but we'll keep working on that. There's still a bit more left there.
So Craig, next round's Hungary. When does the preparation begin? When do you start working with the academy to help you get ready for that?
Yes, look at that. We'll let Sierra Morena digest first, but yeah, we'll be starting to work on Hungary now next week, and really focusing on our mental toughness with Alan and our fitness with Dermot, and yeah, the preparation will be starting very soon. And of course, this whole journey and experience wouldn't be possible without the academy, and I can't thank them enough. And yeah, really looking forward to the next round.
And Keelan, that whole fitness thing, I suppose sometimes we forget about that. But, as we mentioned earlier, these are 3-day events now, and we're getting into, some extreme temperatures in places as well. Again, we've said it in the past before about the work the academy does here, but it really does come into play.
Yeah, you can see it all adds up on an event like that. The fitness, the mental toughness, the nutrition, the pace notes that the MI Rally Academy are preparing us with and getting us into, so yeah, it definitely all adds up on a rally like that. And I think even going forward in the championship, Hungary is next. It's going to be tougher again in terms of fitness and mental toughness with the nature of the stages and probably some higher temperatures even. So it definitely all adds up and makes it all so much easier then when you actually get to it to take it on.
And then I suppose the very final question, Craig, I'll throw this to you. Like for the Junior 1000s, they're having a day for them next week for, I would say, like you as the Billy Coleman Award winner, you would encourage all those guys to get there, see what it's all about, and, get the chance to experience what's involved.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're J1000 listening to this and you haven't registered yet, make sure you have, because it'll be a mega day next week. And yeah, looking forward to meeting all the J1000s. And yeah, as they can see, there's a pathway there now, thanks to John Coyne and the academy. There's a pathway right from J1000 the whole way to WRC. So yeah. So
thanks there to the two guys, and we're looking forward to their progress throughout the year, as well as all the other competitors. So that is the latest episode. Once again, please like, share, rate, subscribe. Thank you very much, and until next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.
That's the proudest day and the proudest time and the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.